I've noticed something really interesting about the software engineers who get trusted a lot faster and who progress in their careers a lot quicker than others. There are some engineers who are given more responsibility, who are given more ownership over things, and who are able to influence a lot of decisions a lot quicker than other engineers. And then there are other engineers who may be technically just as capable, but they don't progress as quickly. And part of the reason for that is because people decide how competent you are at your job way before they even see your work. It's about all of these different signals you give off and all of the extra things outside of your technical ability. The difference between these different engineers isn't in their intelligence or how capable they are, how smart they are, how quick and fast and good they are at solving problems. It's about these extra habits that I want to talk about today. These are the things that I've noticed and I think can drastically change your career and how fast you progress. And I think the last two habits that I talk about are the most impactful ones, so make sure you stick around to hear those. Hey, I'm Becca. I'm a full-time software engineer, part-time Pilates instructor, and someone with multiple interests and multiple different passions. I love sharing bits of my life, insights into my career, tips on productivity, and everything in between. So if you enjoy this content, don't forget to subscribe for future videos, but let's get straight into this one. Ultimately, the more that people trust you, the faster your career progresses. And one of the biggest ways that people build their trust in you is when things go wrong. You're always being evaluated, whether consciously or subconsciously, on how you react to certain situations and how you get through big problems or anything that is unexpected and goes wrong. And you want to show that you're able to stay calm when things do go wrong. As software engineers, we know that things go wrong all the time. There are always errors in the code, there are always bugs, there are always things breaking, systems going down. Hopefully systems aren't going down too often, but there is always the possibility that that could happen. And it's your job as an engineer to figure out why things are going wrong, what you can do to fix it, and how you can prevent it in the future. And also how you can get things up and running as quickly as possible, because we want minimal downtime. And when these things do happen, you need to be able to stay calm enough in order to be able to think logically and work through a solution. Even if you can't personally solve the problem on your own, you need to be able to communicate that problem in a clear, calm way to other people and those people around you who can help you solve the problem. You need to be able to stay calm and think rationally, rather than panicking and reacting emotionally. And some of this does come with experience, so the more exposure you get to all of these different problems and errors happening and systems breaking, the more calm you will feel. But also it's just about learning to not react straight away, to take some time to process things and just only react once you've thought about it and once you've got a clearer view of the whole picture. And this is important because people won't always remember exactly what happened, exactly what went wrong, or exactly what the fix was, but they'll always remember how you reacted and how you made them feel in the moment. There's actually research in psychology that shows that people remember the emotional tone of a conversation or a situation much better than they remember the exact details, especially in stressful situations. So when something goes wrong, if you're able to stay calm, it signals that you know what you're doing. It signals that you are able to be relied on. It signals that you're the one they can trust, and it allows other people to stay calm as well. No one wants to work with people or under people who react emotionally and who react out of fear and make all these rushed decisions, because that's not a nice working environment for anyone. When you panic, it makes other people around you panic and you lose their trust. So instead, focus on taking the time to understand the situation, ask some questions, try and stay calm, and you'll build that trust with everyone around you. One of the fastest ways people decide how strong you are at your job is by looking at how easy it is to understand your work. So if someone has to spend hours trying to work through what you've done, trying to chase you for answers, or trying to talk to you for clarification, or find all this extra knowledge just to understand your work, that is when people lose their trust in you. People get irritated, it slows things down, and even if your work is good, that will be clouded by the fact that it's really hard to understand. Being a software engineer, it's important to know how to explain problems, how to explain solutions, how to write pull requests, how to talk through solutions, and how to talk to different people, whether that's technical people or non-technical people. Other people need to be able to understand your work quickly in order to make decisions and get their work done. So if your work is poorly communicated, or if it's just very difficult to understand, it slows everything down. It slows down the job of the reviewers for the pull request. It slows down the job of the stakeholders. It slows down the job of your manager. It slows down the job of your teammates. And everyone else who is involved in this process, it can impact so many people around you. Being a software engineer, the role is obviously very technical, but you also need to focus on the communication side of things. You need to be able to communicate those ideas and the solutions clearly, not just to technical people, but also to the non-technical people. You need to be able to break the problems down into simple to understand ways. For example, you might be working closely with product managers and non-technical stakeholders who need to understand your work and need to understand the impact of your work. So knowing how to communicate both verbally and in written format is also so important for this, and also in simple language that doesn't overcomplicate things. And as you grow more senior in your career, I think this becomes even more important, sometimes more important than your pure, raw technical skill. And linked to being able to explain your ideas and your work is the other side of that. So we don't want to over-explain everything. When you look at very confident people, they are not over-explaining, they're not constantly trying to justify everything, they're not over-apologizing. Basically, they're not doing too much. Those people who are confident in their abilities, who don't feel the need to constantly search for external validation or reassurance, or again, overdo everything, are the ones who build that confidence in other people as well. So if you come across as very confident, someone else is going to assume you're confident and is going to have much bigger belief in your abilities just by the way you feel about yourself and the image that you portray. So we need to work on those things. We need to figure out how we can not over-explain everything, because this ends up diluting the message of what you're trying to achieve. It ends up taking the focus away from your message, your solution, your impact, whatever it is, by adding these extra words and extra fluff. You want to keep everything quite simplified, again, linking back to the previous point. And another thing, we don't want to over-apologise. So I think this is something that's very common in women, and it's oftentimes not necessary. I'm not saying never apologise and never explain things, but you need to find the balance of somewhere in the middle. You don't want to constantly apologise for things that don't need apologising for, or are not really tied to you in the first place, because this takes the focus away from your abilities, from the work and the impact that you've done and the things you've achieved. The next habit I've noticed in those who seem to progress a lot faster than others is they're usually really good at closing loops before being asked. So what I mean by this closing loops is they're the ones following things up, chasing other people, getting things done and finishing things right through to the end, seeing them all the way to the end of the journey, rather than waiting for people to chase them or waiting for someone else to get it done. If you say you're working on something or you're looking into a bug, make sure you follow it up. Make sure you give updates to the relevant people involved. If you fix a problem, make sure you update everyone on the outcome. Make sure you leave some documentation so people know what the issue was and how to resolve it in the future. If you're going on annual leave or planned leave, any sort of leave, make sure you let people know, leave documents, leave a handover, make sure you hand over with the correct people and make sure everyone's caught up so that they're not stuck in your absence. Without all of that proper communication, people are left wondering what's going on. They're left wondering who to ask. And it's very frustrating for everyone else involved. It's frustrating when they have to check any JIRA tickets or check anything that might have been documented, have to search through everything and try and chase different people for answers and questions and all of this stuff if you haven't left them clear signs for where to go for the information that they might need. But if you're proactive and you're able to close those loops yourself, people trust you a lot more. They trust you to complete everything right through to the end, and they know you can leave you with stuff and they know it will get done without them having to chase you or think about it in the back of their mind. And once you build that trust in everyone around you, that's when you start given more responsibility and that's when you start progressing. Another habit that makes a big difference is being able to bring solutions, not just problems. So in our day-to-day work, it's very easy to spot problems. It's easy to spot what's going wrong, what is frustrating, what could be done better, or all of these little things you can pick at that you just don't like or don't agree with. But no one likes to be brought a whole list of problems because then that's kind of like you're just passing on the responsibility to them. People like it when you can take ownership of a problem, when you can think about it first, maybe come up with a solution and then bring it to them. Even if you don't have a fully fleshed out solution yet, maybe you've thought about it and have a couple of ideas or possibilities and you can bring that along. What separates the engineers who progress faster from the others is that they take that problem and then they come back with a solution. They take a bit more ownership and they're not waiting to be told what to do. They're able to contribute to what happens next, and this makes it a lot easier for everyone around them to get on with the next stage and the decision-making process. Something else I've noticed is that the people who progress faster, who get promoted and who build greater influence are the people who are not necessarily more intelligent or more capable. They're the people who speak up, who voice their opinions, who share their ideas, who take part in discussions and who get involved in everything. You need to be vocal and get your voice heard, and also not be afraid to share your opinions. If you're not speaking about your contributions and all of your achievements and letting people know what you've done, it's easy to be missed. If you've fixed something complex or you've improved performance or you have a great idea about something, and if you don't articulate it to other people, it will just not get noticed in the same way. And this is something that I really had to learn and I found quite hard, even find quite hard still now, because I'm not naturally the loudest person in the room. I will not shout about myself. I will not naturally speak up in meetings all the time. But something I have realised is also that it is okay to not be the loudest in the room and still share your opinions. You don't have to dominate meetings or dominate discussions in order to influence other people. Because actually, in fact, doing that so much and jumping in straight away, always trying to be the first one to speak, can have the opposite effect you want. There's a difference between speaking to add value and speaking to assert your authority. We want to make sure that we're always adding value to everything because, again, that will build the trust and that will build everyone's confidence in us. I think it's much more effective if you learn to be a good listener. You learn to take that information away, to process it yourself, and then speak up when you have something valuable to say. Because when you do contribute, people will take your ideas and your contributions a lot more seriously, and they value it a lot more because they know that what you have to say then is something important and should be listened to. And linked to being vocal and speaking up more is about the skill of being able to ask better questions. And curiosity also ties in with this. So as software engineers, curiosity is the best skill you can develop. I think the best software engineers are always staying curious. They're always asking more questions, the right questions, and they're asking why behind everything. They're always trying to dig a little deeper than the surface level questions or the surface level instructions that they're given. So they're thinking about, what's the best way to solve this problem? Why are we solving it? Why are we solving it this way? Is there a better way we can solve it? How has it been done in the past? Is there a better way we can do it in the future? What other systems or environments or services is it affecting? And once you start kind of asking all of these different questions, your solutions become far better because you're going further in depth. That curiosity helps you avoid a lot of mistakes, and it helps you also have better discussions because you're bringing up all of these questions that can spark a lot of different discussions with those around you. And when you're kind of leading those discussions, that's where your influence grows, and that's where you start to progress in your career again. Now, instead of just being a passive engineer, just waiting for work to come your way, waiting to just be assigned a ticket, delivering it, and then moving on to the next in this constant cycle, you progress a lot faster when you're able to shape the direction of your work for yourself and also for others around you. This means giving your opinion in design discussions and sharing your reasonings behind decisions and influencing all these different conversations. It also means sharing your knowledge with everyone across your team. It's about asking different thoughtful questions and considering trade-offs and different approaches. It's about helping those around you learn. And this is what sets you apart from other people. It's when you can influence all those different things. So you're influencing discussions, you're influencing the progress of others, and you're influencing the work that your team and the people around you start to produce. And you're able to do all of this even if you're not the most senior person. You're able to do this at any stage of your journey, because even if you're the most junior person in the team, you can still give your opinion and your insight into what you think the best approach is or how you think things should go, whether you like a solution, whether you don't, and just contributing your opinion. If you have a junior working below you, it's always great if you can mentor them or help them grow, no matter how big or how large, how small that commitment is. If you can help improve their journey, their progress, that is you building influence in some way. And this influence can happen in many different ways. So like I said, you can influence those below you if they're more junior. You can influence those who are at the same level as you, and even those above you as well, because maybe you spot certain things that they don't see. And once you do this repeatedly, people start to look to you for answers, and your manager or the people above you start to see you as someone who is able to influence things and does have an impact on the team or the people that you work with. The more you can positively influence decisions, discussions, approaches, ways of working, the more visible and the more valuable you will become. So those are the habits that I've noticed that help software engineers stand out in their career. Let me know in the comments if you think there's anything else I've missed off the list. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and share this with other people who you think it might be helpful for. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully see you next time.